Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy back again. Got a little experiment to show you guys today on how we can send power wirelessly and charge electrolytic capacitors. And by the way, Happy New Year's. Hello, my fellow YouTubers. Happy New Year. So I was waiting for a guest to come on. So far, nobody wants to come on with me. Well, you guys are here, so I appreciate you being here. Here we go. Hey, guys. So Happy New Year. Let's ditch waiting for a guest. Let's just cancel that. And let's roll on to some questions. What do we have here? So, for those who were watching me, I took apart the Tesla coil. Oh, is that what it is? I got to link it. Jesus. Let's see if I can do that. Add guest. Copy link. All right. So what do? I got to put the link now, a copy link on. How do I leave a message? Hmm. All right. So if I want to, let me see. We'll go to you. Hmm. I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. Hello, by the way. Happy New Year. Let me figure out how to send link to you. Somebody get on here and we can have. So this experiment today is going to be wireless charging a capacitor. Now you might be asking yourself, what's the big deal? Hmm. Well, there's different ways of doing it, and I was thinking, back in the day, you heard me talk about Henry Ford with these magnets, and for him to build a car. Hello, David from Massachusetts in the house. So we're just starting tonight, and welcome aboard, guys. Um, we're starting tonight's is going to be an experiment with discussion. So please, uh, I'll try to get you guys on board. Let me see. Um, Live chat. All right. Now, how do I add link? The link in your stream here. Hola. Hmm. Somebody help me out. So I copied the link to give it to you guys so I can get on here and be a guest as well. So I'm trying to do that. What we're going to do tonight's test um, is charge electrolytic capacitor wirelessly. And the question is, it's been done. They do it. Uh, yeah, YouTube only. What's the importance of charging an electrolytic capacitor wirelessly? Big deal. So, what like would Henry Ford when he made his cars and there was no roads yet, right? So that's a big investment for anybody to make in Henry Ford on building cars that people are going to buy when there's no roads. So the government came in and make roads. So backstory to that is um, with EV cars driving on the roads that are already established, um, they should be able to be charging as they go. And here's another concept on charging EV as it travels, and the electrostatic could recharge the capacitors, well, batteries per se itself. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. We're going to go ahead and get an experiment. I will show you voltmeter with my electrolytic capacitor setup. Yeah, I didn't think so either. I'm reading the. Said, let's get busy, guys. Back, we're using a driver and 12-volt battery. Ground's coming over here, and I'm sending the ground to rod underneath where the camera is. But what I will do is pick up the phone and I'll travel you over here, show you the setup. Right now I am going to, I got this top here disconnected, so you know. This itself is another coil. Here's your capacitance in plastic, and here's the wire here. Okay. I do have 4 capacitors in place, so I take you over there. They're acting as a spark gap. They're 21,000 volt, 1.5 nanofarads each. So it gives you a capacitance here of 1.5. So it's three nanofarads. So when I do put this down here in there when it's running, what happens is it electrostatically charges the plastic, which comes out, and you'll see me touching, and the electric going, and there, it's not connected to anything, which is pretty fascinating. So what I like about that is that's one thing Tesla has taught me about building inductance and capacitance. It's like Eli, the Iceman, and your inductance. So yeah, let's get busy. I'll get this started. All right, so we're going to start over here with the experiment and the electrolytic capacitor. It's a 200 microfarad, it's a 2200 microfarad, 25 volt. Miles and look it up on YouTube. It's a beautiful video. So one end of this is to earth ground, okay, and it needs earth ground. That's hooked the full wave bridge rectifier. It's hooked up to his little antenna on the receiving side. Here's the antenna. It's the receiving side. So on, let's take this, put it to volts. We're at 13 volts because okay, and you see that spark, it brought to zero. And now we're just bouncing around millivolts. All right, let's do the experiment. So one thing I want you to notice, I use a jumper cable here, and I got about 8 turns. Here's my capacitor. Yeah, buddy. Keep them that close. Spark gap, flyback, driver, 12-volt battery. Like I told you, I just put this in here for more capacitance and made the antenna longer. It will slow down the frequencies, slow down the frequency like this, but I like doing it because it just adds more to the mix. So up top here, you'll see electric coming out of it. You'll see electric coming out of the bottom wire of this one here, of this. Not connected to this. Still have electric coming out inductively. What's works? This is like having a swing, okay? And you're a parent pushing a kid in the swing, okay? Here's the swing. It's swinging. So what we're doing is we're electromagnetically bouncing this big thick wire, making a big, this big thick wire. The bad thing about it is good, okay? But if you use like a single braided or just one solid wire and wrap it, you're probably better off because you get more inductive bang out of your money here. So here I calmed it down, but I'm using this wire. So just to explain to you, with all those little wires, you get rid of the Henrys, and the Henrys are the magnetic inductance. They call them Henrys, and each little wire acts like an avenue. It traps with have more Henrys, your big magnetic field. So what happens is the bottom of this becomes a big field, comes around the top. So you're spreading like this dipole is what I'm doing. So I'm the singular secondary here is one dipole vertically. Okay, the south up top positive, north down bottom. Wire from the bottom here running out, going to. And what I want you guys to understand about this is about moving energy. This is true experiment on Tesla moving energy. And what he's doing here is, if I can draw it out, be simple for you guys, right? If somebody done this when I was starting out 10 years ago, it would have been simpler. Here's the coil. Here's your field. Here's your south. Here's your north, down bottom, right? Your negative's coming out bottom. Your positive is out the top. It's your ground. And right here, you spread the field out. Not just here. But what we're doing on the field that goes this way, which is this um, wire right here, we're expanding the field where the center and the outside of the two connections here is a lateral dipole. So you guys get me. We're making like almost like a Nolan's cross. So where a dipole here is going to have a 90-degree angle and send a dipole that way, which is the coil. Your top is your transmitter out to the wild, wild west world. The bottom goes to ground, so we have a bouncy ball. That's what you have here. So this is spectacular example of, let's go ahead and blow a bubble of electromagnetic wave out. Let's collect it. Let's put it in this electrolytic energy on its own. So you have to have a little know-how. And like I said, a full wave bridge rectifier made out of germanium diodes. This is the only thing that will get you there. Nothing else will. Here, it's a rod. Let me get you guys some light, okay? So my grounding is nothing more than a rod, or a grounding rod. That goes in the earth right here. So there's the rod. There's the wire. And electrolytic capacitor. So this is what you need to know. When you guys, well, one side of the full wave bridge rectifier. Guys who do know full wave bridge, end of this, if you're using it as a receiver, both of your ACs are pickups, your DCs are collectors. So let's do this. Let's disconnect, not from there. We'll disconnect it from the ground source. It makes it easier for me. So we're disconnected, right? And we're going to fire the system. You're going to see the voltmeter does collect, but not a lot. The reason I'm doing this part of the experiment, just because you mentioned about the Earth gives up electrons, and that's what I'm trying to show you guys. We're you're not getting free, but you're supplying. That's already what you're standing on. So electrons down there will come up. So we're at millivolts right now. There's nothing going on. 705. That's a little bit over half of a millivolt. Well, half to be a volt. Okay. So let's fire this up and we'll turn it back off and we'll talk about it again. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the experiment. It shows where we're going to get energy from, how we're going to charge a capacitor, different inductive reactance. Let's fire. Oh, hell, I'm hooked up. You know what? Let me bring them closer. Yeah, let's do what I do. So right now we have no ground, and you can see we are climbing. We let it get to a volt. You can see how long it takes. It's still using the antenna, but there's no ground. Now we're going to creep on to 1 volt. Now let's go ahead and hook up the earth ground. We're at volt 0.14, no big deal. Let's hook up earth ground. Nothing happened to my finger. As soon as we hook up earth ground, you can see now it's dramatically taken off. So let's get the gap closer. So I'm going to get the gap closer. I got a lot more to show you here. So I'm going to maybe turn that closer. My Yeah, so this is pretty cool. So what you're going to see now is We're at 1.5 volts, right? None's increasing right now. I don't know why it's even going up, but it must be we ionize the air. So there's obviously some residual, but let's go ahead. Yeah, I'm using my fingers now. Let's get the tape up here. I want to get them closer because I like when the speed's fast. Mm. I apologize. I want to make sure this is the right adjustment here. So if I gotta maybe come around here, there we go. Some stabilities. Sorry about my little setup here. All right, so we're good here. All right, so still at 1.563 volts, 1.5. So now we're hooked up to ground. You'll see dramatically increase, and as it builds up, and right now we're at the very little, so it'll go slower. But now it's from the ground. And if you think about what's happening here, go back to my thing. So you have a magnetic field that is becoming a dual dipole. This one here has a north down bottom and south, and it's going this way. Okay, so you have a pattern this way. On the cause and effect, which is the primary, is going this way. And with it going that way, it's causing a horizontal poof, poof, poof. With that going on, it's putting a inductive force into this, not connected, and it's spreading out the dipole between here and here. And then with that being said, you're going to see electrons, charges, electrostatic capacitor or electrolytic. Let's rock on. I got some more stuff to say, but let's go. Uh-oh. That's not good. Oh, shit. There you go. That's good. Electrons up from the ground. Is flying in that capacitor. You understand what's happening is here is now we have a dipole from the receiver here from the field. We're putting out bubbles, and these bubbles are so dramatic on and off. They on and off gone, on and off gone. And here, all right, question is when that's on, can you guys even hear me talking? Hello? Can you hear me now? Somebody comment. Don't want to waste any verbiage. So I assume you can hear me now. And now the voltage comes up from the ground. The electrons are being taken from the ground. Explain to you is because we're taking dipoles and going horizontal, vertical, we're stretching out the dipole up to give it more expansive inverse square law. When it squeezes out a bubble, it puts it. The reason in this capacity carats and 50 full wave bridge rectifier made with germanium diodes. The germanium diodes is what Tesla with movement in the ether based on. Let's go ahead and just watch the voltmeter for now and look at the wireless energy. And we're going to charge this electrolytic capacitor. Go from there. Hang tight, guys. This I got to show you. I was going to walk away and go touch the aluminum framing in my house and show you how I can still pick up signal. I can still pick up signal. So let's disconnect here. You guys have any comments yet so far from what I'm showing you? About this spark that's left in the capacitors here. Woo! Still electricity, right? So who has any questions so far from what I'm showing you? I'm showing you a bunch of cookies. So there's a lot of information here. I hope you guys are getting, but some will, some won't. But let me see. Yeah, so it's not, so right now, do you have any questions? Um, I was just getting ready to show you something real cool before the this moved, but I wanted to show you that I can take my germanium dioide that I have over here hooked up to virtual ground and still get a signal because there's a germanium dioide, not a full wave bridge rectifier. You notice I'm touching stuff because there's no amperage. The amperage is in milliamps, so low, so low. So you guys, so you know that when you buy a neon sign transformer, right? Happy Moon, Happy New Year's, everybody. When you buy a neon sign transformer, and say if you get the biggest boy you can get on the market, which would be a 15,000 volt, 60 milliamp. So 60 milliamps up to 100 is 1 amp. So think about that. 100 gets you an amp. So 60 gets you a little bit past halfway of a half an amp. Half an amp on that does magic. Now, can you touch both ends? Could it kill you? If you were the stupidest fuck and the stupidest thing happened, yes. But I don't know. Uh, 60. So 1,000 milliamps and 1 amp. So my bad. So not 100, 1,000, I meant to say. So you can think about 60 in there is a very small fraction that you're banging. Whatever frequency, 60 hertz is what they're designed for. But we step it up here with Tesla. Big time we step it up. So when you step it up, it's the reason why Tesla went with 60 hertz on the wall. And the Europeans, they have 50 hertz and 220. We have 110. So we figured out we're just okay with using more wire. It's about who wants to use more wire or not. We could. So we have that 60 hertz. And if you blink your eyes and look at 60 hertz, 50 hertz, I was in Europe for a while recently, quite a few times, and I can't see any difference in any blinking. But I'm sure if I did experiments there like this, I would notice a difference. So let's get back to the study. So here you can see we're at 12 volts collected wirelessly, right? You guys like that? Wirelessly. So anybody have any questions now before I fire up the system? Any questions? Good, Mike. Fire in a hole. We're going to add a big capacitance load up top. This is going to slow down the speed, but it will add a lot. Can you control SG frequency? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Frequency is induced by it is controlled by the frequency is by the inductive reactance, like ham radio and stuff. So right now, this frequency is running off this driver, whatever megahertz this guy is running. I don't know offhand personally, but these capacitors are zero capacitors. These empty out 100% of the capacitors. These two are running against each other, sort of like what I have here. But these are creating the bouncy ball, and these are creating the magnetic inductive reactance. And then you got to tune that into your secondary. We're not in tune here, trust me. This is nothing in tune. You would in tune this by not connecting to the ends, but connecting in, and you would make holes on each wire here at each level, and you would go down each level until you see a better reactance. At that point, when you have a better reactance, at that point, you'll know that you have the best Q factor that you can have. So when you guys go work your Q, you're looking at the inductive reactance, and that's based on your impedance of your system, however you lay it out. But I want to just put this out there. So, can you use a tank circuit to regulate frequency? Yeah, of course you can. Of course you can. So let me bounce over here. I can even draw that out for you guys. So over here, you got a capacitor, and say if you want an inductive reactance. Let's look, what will we use? Let's use this. I got two of these. I'll use this one. So this right here is your inductive reactance. This is, Vinny, let me know when you have a phone number. 904-366-9997. Don't be a schmuck. That's my number. All right, so here's how you get your inductive reactance. Well, your inductive. So this is a toroid made out of ferrite, and it comes pre-wrapped. You can make them yourself. It's got two ends. You put that in here, bam. So there's your, without me drawing out, but I'll draw it out for you guys. So right here, we're gonna make this so we have breaks. Here is this. It's going to be your coil. Okay, here's your bar. Here's your wire. Connect there. And what I want, I'm not saying you don't know your tank circuit, but for people who are watching, and nobody explains it, I just wish somebody would just stop 1 minute and just explain something. So, regardless of the way this is wound, you're going to get a north and south on either side of the coil here. We're using a ferrite donut. So basically, we're taking the whole thing. So the north to south will appear, but it'll appear in the holes. So in the hole itself, there's a north and south. So there's not a bar going through, but with this case, it goes on both sides. No, you're not turning off. You need to stay where you're at, buddy. So, so you'll have your one side here, and the other side will be your capacitor. Okay, here goes your out, you're in. One side, one side. There goes your capacitors. One thing, capacitors, I just showed you here. You just touch both ends, releases all the way. Bam, one shot. That 12 volts gone in a heartbeat. Okay, so you have something like that on this side, which will be quick to react and release. This side doesn't because of iron. If you look at iron, I can't just talk shit. We got to go over here to Ne with iron. It is Fe. I mean, iron. It's like a bottomless pit when it comes to magnetism. So this right here has its inductive doesn't want to let it go. It's inductive reactance. It's Henry's. It doesn't want to let go, no matter what you put in there. It creates like a resistance difference. here, but it becomes one. On this side, it wants a quick release. But what happens when you have power here coming in, you'll have your capacitor on one side, you'll have your toroid over there, and then you'll have a teeter totter. And but circuit going. Now you have something a little bit more than a tank circuit going here. This to me is a good question for you guys, especially the ones that know their shit here. Eli the Iceman. Eli the Iceman. So Eli the Iceman is L for inductance. Okay. Then you got your frequency, got your capacitance, and then your resistance, and that gives you your impedance. That becomes Eli the Iceman. Eli, ELI M, I think. Eli the Iceman. So, anybody put it out there? Eli the Iceman. All right. Well, let's get into it. Inductive reactance in your tank circuit. Here, we're kind of adding a little more mix to it. We're stretching dipoles out, and our signals go out to the antenna here, and we receive them over here. What I was trying to do here is have two rails on the road, sends back a high voltage like this, nothing to be worried about, cars driving back and forth, but the battery charge on it system. So let's give it a test run again. So 11 volts, we got this up to from 25. So far, I don't want to bounce off my feed here, but I will let you know. So let's go ahead. Like I said, this is quick to release. Right now, I'm going to touch these two and watch the voltmeter. Bam, 0, down the millivolts. So now, listen, we're going to, let's go ahead and I don't want to connect difference between these connections and just connect a drag of the system. Like this one has a frequency based on where the primary sits and the amount of wire and the size of wire here. Okay. Now you go stick something in it, it's going to have a reactive and change the Q of the system. I'm not saying this is Q because it's got a low Q here, but because this is only plastic, it won't react to because this wire is right above it. It'll have its own coupling. So it doesn't need to be connected. But what I like to do is have it close in proximity because it'll create its own little gap. And then the dipole stretches. When it gets up here, there's so much capacitance up here. This is all aluminum, and it's polished but old. So it'll just radiate out like a Una. So let's go ahead and fire this up. Now we're going to see the volt. Grabbing electrons from the ground. Can you guys hear me? I'm 10 feet away from my coil, lighting up my LED with the germanium. All right, so I'm outside. Can you hear me any better? Can you hear me now? I'm outside. I don't know if you can hear it, but I'm outside. Inside that shack, LED picking up signal, wireless. They're pretty far away. Outside here. Uh-oh. Look at Ed's wheel. Ed's wheel. It's over there. You guys see it? I'm gonna touch the magnet. Look out. My outside light's flickering. All right, so hopefully you get. I didn't blow your ears out. So here we go. Some voltage. Pick it off the phone. I am going to get back into some deep experimenting. Before I blow off here, I showed you. Let's recap. So 12 volts car battery. Test the coil using capacitor, showed you how to pick up stuff wirelessly as a receiver and charge stuff. It could also run a motor. Also on your tank circuits are great in one way, but an LCR circuit is even better because you get your Tesla coil, you get your banging ballistically electrons through the air. And one thing you got there is about thing that I didn't show you is if this itself was space and it's a dot matrix, okay? Dot matrix. I mean, it's going out in all directions. Doing it's bouncing in these balls, vertically resilient. When we not what you see, but I look at it in the middle of all that, we're moving, bouncing. Phone here with you guys. Do you understand that? Is that pretty kind of clear? Is that the space, the ether is very resilient. I showed this many a times. But in this experiment, it really shows that after everything's off, everything goes back to normal. Why? Because the resilience of ether. And then the redundancy vertically with a pole horizontally. I'm still creating a frequency, inductive reactance. And when that's all perfect, you got a Q factor, best Q you can have, fine tuned. Everything's in harmonics. And when you know this is you can hear it in the capacitors. If you listen in your ears to your to your spark gap, the spark gap will tell you how in tuned you are to your system. Even though you're highly trained electrical technician and you know you're there, that sound to me as not a trained or highly trained technical technic or highly electrical technician, I can tell you by sound when I'm there. My Q factor is at its highest maximic pressure, maximum. And there's no that you less force, less finger almost, barely touch it, just enough to keep it going like a pendulum. That energy just propagates. And then it goes in cymatics if you move on down the. This is just the first part of the circuitry. So, you guys good with my new little showing you guys stuff? I normally don't do this. I sort of should. I know a lot of my shit's noisy, so it's just hard to do and show with a phone in the hand. If I put you on the pedestal, it's even worse because you're not seeing what I'm looking at and showing you. So virtually, I wish in my head had my camera to where I could visually show you what I'm looking at. That would be cool. Any more comments before we bounce off tonight's show? Happy New Year, everybody. Yeah, I know that. Noise pollution. Yeah, big time. I love it though. Like the ozone from just that spark gap. And now it's, hey, you guys, I'm going to show you. There'll be a lot of juice left in this sucker. I wouldn't want to touch it. Let's put it together and see how much juice is left. Then watch. Let's see. Oh, we already defused it, huh? Good. Um, there's, but yeah, it's about keeping it up, being hard at it. If I could give any advice to you guys for the new year, is this okay? Um, Persistence is key throughout your whole life. Being persistent, even if it comes down to things don't go smoothly for you. And um, that being said, that's a twofold part because hopefully the people who listen to me are positive go-getters. You can be not a positive go-getter and listen to me. That's fine. I think majority of you are positive go-getters, self-reliant. You're here because you want to learn. You want to expand any little nugget I can give you out there. And with that being said, there's people who are out there to suck you dry, and there's people out there who are power people. Power people are people who say, get the fuck out of my way. I'm going to get it done. Here's a different way. It'll get the job done. The people who suck the enthusiasm out of you, like cancer. I want those people to get the fuck away from me and get out of my way. I don't want you to leave, but just get out of my way. Get the fuck away from me because you're not going to steal my enthusiasm. That and self driven and being very persistent is all I'm going to give you guys this year in my tough talk for the first day of the new year. Is if you want it, go get it. If you don't know it, learn it. If you don't learn it from different ways. There's many ways to learn stuff. If you find a passion, if you find enthusiasm, don't let nobody take it from you. Don't let nobody tell you that they've done it. It's been done. Move on. Because I'll tell you, most of everything I do here is stuff that's been done from 1860, 1870, 1880, Tesla World, 1880, on up to 1940 when Tesla died in the 40s, 50s. What I'm getting at is there's so many different parts to everything. How could you look at one part and just discount it? It's unethical. It's bullshit. Not ranting, guys. I'm just talking. In that, learn what you can. Everything out there on the internet, don't believe it all, but get cookies out of it. So when I watch stuff, I'll spend a freaking whatever time it takes to watch the video. And hopefully I learned a little thing that I didn't know. That one little connection that I didn't know. That one, like for instance, I'm force feeding this in the system. But if you were going with a transistor and running like this, may not work when you hook it up. Now you may be disgusted, and you wouldn't have capacitors in here because it don't work with the capacitors. Well, it does, but I'd have to show you in a different way and different time to do that. With that being said, with the transistor, it may not work. But if you reverse the poles from where you come into your wire on your primary, all of a sudden it works. Being persistent there made you happy. You know why? Because you can light a light bulb. What is more fun than seeing a light bulb light up in your hand wireless? They don't know nothing when it comes to what we're talking about. Statics is nothing there. Why even bother? That's the people with professionally trained. I don't mean something's wrong with you guys or along on the channel. If you're interested, then part of you is reaching out to be part of something when you're force fuck trained in theory that you stick with that. And you're the people who push it aside and just discount electrostatics. Run your wall, not going to do it's Merlin like. Show me somebody in your neighborhood right now can take a light bulb and light it up in their hand. Seriously, it's Merlin like. It's magic. I call it spooky action. So when I do my experiments, I look for spooky action. What is spooky action? Well, spooky action. I can touch that. Shouldn't be normal. So spooky action is when you can light a light and what we have. There's no such thing as a wasteful electron. And it is not a waste. It's just a transfer level of the onion. So if you're only right, if you if electrostatics are out here and its skin surface, why is that a waste of time? Layer of the onion and waste your time. I really do apologize. And I do appreciate possibly. Way. I love you all, but that's who I am. Get the fuck out of my way because I'm going to run over you and I'm going to figure out the problem. You guys, Happy New Year. Peace out. And thank you for loving my music too, by the way. That's been fun. Thank you. Bye bye.